Singapore's food delivery market grew about 13% last year, reaching nearly $3 billion. Grab tightened its grip on the local market, lifting its share from about 65 to 69%. Foodpanda's share dropped from roughly 27 to 24%. Those figures come from a new report by research firm Momentum Works. And let's get more from its founder and CEO, Jianggan. Jianggan, welcome to Singapore tonight.
Thank you for having me here.
Now, let's start with the findings here. We see that Grab is dominating with 2/3 share of the local market. Are we seeing consolidation on the cards here?
You have to ask Grab, Foodpanda, maybe Deliveroo this question. But I think I have participated in some of these deals in the tech sector before. What I can say is that there's always a desire to make it more efficient, but quite often the difficulty is not, all the compliance or the legal or even the competition watchdog. The difficulty is getting all the parties on both sides to agree on the same price. And that has always been difficult. I think Grab has talked to Foodpanda before, and they have not reached a deal.
Yeah, but Grab is also quite a strong performer regionally. What do you think is driving this expansion?
I think Grab is in a very interesting position in Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia is, as a market or as a set of markets, is complex, diverse, and fragmented. So Grab has a unique advantage that compared to the single country players like Gojek, and they have the regional resources and economies of scale. But compared to the global players like Foodpanda, they're also more focused on this region. So it's interesting that they have this unique advantage. But of course, food delivery is a very, very resource heavy and on the ground operational business. So it's a lot of operational sort of work to drive volume, density, and operational efficiency.
And speaking of that volume, more people, according to your survey, they're ordering more, but they're also spending less each time here in Singapore. So what does that say about how we're using food delivery services here?
I think a few years ago when food delivery first came about, I'm not sure if you remember like the early days, and everybody got promos, discounts, and everybody could order. But a few years ago, I think the capital market changed, right? Investors were demanding that the platforms need to be profitable. And because of that, I think the prices went up and only a small set of consumers could afford that. But I think over the last 2 to 3 years, the platforms have done lots of work. First, they proved that they can become profitable. And second, they have expanded the market to an extent that I think for lots of the medium range priced and also some lower priced meals, you can still offer that on food delivery platform in a profitable way.
Yeah, we're also seeing more lower priced meals that are being ordered as well. Is this a case of people tightening their belts, or is it because of these offers that you were mentioning?
You may remember 2 years ago when cost of living was the top concern for consumers, not only in Singapore, but across the globe. And recently, we also looked at the price of Starbucks drinks, and it rose like 20% between 2022 and 2024. But I think that period has passed. So nowadays, I think it's more about having different kind of options available. And also looking at the F&B sector, you also have new players coming in. Through technology, through operational efficiency, they're able to offer the same drinks or the same food items at cheaper price.
Yeah, you mentioned drinks earlier, right? So drinks actually make up a smaller share of delivery orders in Singapore, according to your study. Why is that?
Yeah, so a bit of background. So we actually counted the number of orders that are for drinks in different countries in Southeast Asia. Thailand and Vietnam, 30% of the orders are actually for drinks. I think in Singapore, it's only 10%. There are a number of factors for this. First, obviously, Singapore is a fairly air-conditioned place. So it's the desire to walk out to actually get a refreshing drink, I think is different compared to other countries. And the young people in my office, they always like to go for a bubble tea or go for a coffee after lunch hours. So that becomes a social activity. I think also at the end of the day, now you have a lot of drinks players, Luckin Coffee, Chaji, Starbucks, they offer pickup solutions. So you can actually go there and pick up yourself. It's usually a few minutes walk away from your office.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier, Jianggan, that other F&B businesses. We had 3,000 F&B businesses, including a lot of well-known restaurants, shutting down last year in 2025. Do you think this has something to do with the growth you're seeing, the double-digit growth you're seeing in food delivery here?
I think they are correlated, but there's no cause effect. But what we do see is that at the F&B sort of merchant side, there's lots of efficiency being built by some of the new players. So I think drinks is something I like to use because I think that appeals to more consumers. I'm not sure if you buy Chaji.
I've tried it, yes.
You've tried it. So that company, in the middle of last year, they were able to sell 1,500 cups of drinks a day, every store in Singapore. In comparison, Starbucks does about 300, and it has been like that for many years. So a lot of efficiency has been built. I think F&B players have been facing actually lots of competition. So the ones which you see shut down, I think they were optimized for a different era. And I think as time changed, I think they are facing some difficulties. I think delivery play is correlated, but it's not causing this.
I think that's data as well will help a lot of businesses also find their bearings in this new time, as you say.
Yeah.
So Jianggan, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your insights with us. I've been chatting with Jianggan from digital research firm Momentum Works.